Okay, so let's introduce your next project. This will be your first true graphic design project done completely in Illustrator. We're going to talk about movie posters, but before we introduce the project requirements, let's first take a look at movie posters that have already been designed and exist in real life. When we look at these posters, we're going to analyze them in terms of the principles of design and how they're being used. So we'll look at the type of font or text being used, the alignment, the tracking, the information hierarchy, and all the different components that are present on the poster. In this case, it's the title, the name of the director, an image, a release date, and a tagline. Also, there's further information like the rating system, the studio that produced it, as well as the website. This movie poster is almost completely typography driven. These happen to be photographs of typography, but it's typography nonetheless. Actress's name, title of the movie, beautiful use of white space, and then the release, summer, and then the website. Image, tagline, graphic, logo, title of the movie. In this case, the title is not the largest part. This is the part we're drawn to, which would be the tagline. So this is a little bit of an interesting switch on how we would normally see a movie poster. Photo, kind of a skewered asymmetrical balance. X-Men Origins Wolverine type. Notice how it's on an angle. Everything follows that angle. So when they created this, they first put all their type regular without the twist on it. They typed it all out. They had it all center aligned. And then once it was all finished and grouped together, then they tilted it. So that way everything would tilt on the same exact axis. Here we have a image on the left, and then everything else is right aligned. Very strong right alignment down here. Time Traveler's Wife is kind of playing around with the different size of the fonts. Symmetrical balance from the director of Hitch. So we have a director call out here. We have a tagline here. We're using a red square to frame the text of the actors and actresses' names, as well as the title of the movie. Sans serif, bold, creating contrast between the yellow, the white, and the red. And then the release date, spring 2010. And then the website. Hierarchy of information here. Actors' names are not as large as the title, but they are large, and they are in the red square. And then tagline, and then release date, and then much, much smaller is the website. So you would never do the website as the largest part. There has to be some sort of hierarchy of information. What's the most important down to what's the least important. This one, again, it's really not about the title, which is placed on the poster. It's really about the graphic and really catching our eye with that graphic, the tagline at the top. Nice tracking between the letters. If you notice the space between each letter, great use of white space, great use of tracking, very simple, clean sans serif font. It doesn't compete with the kind of gritty hand-drawn graphics. Another, for the same movie, totally different, different execution of it, kind of all chaotically pieced together. Justified font, you see it's lined up on the left, it's lined up on the right. We're using a contrast between green, white, and black. We have an image of a globe with oil dripping over it. We have the letters really big using a gradient fill. Everything under here, your tagline is nicely justified under that text. Here they have all the awards listed that it's won, and then all the typical movie information at the bottom. Harry Potter, simple, looks like a photographic rendering, tagline, title, release date, website. This one's just the title and the release date, and that's it. Stenciled, made to appear as if it's a stencil or graffiti on a wall. Nice angle, gives it a kind of different, unique perspective. We're not looking at it head on. We're looking at it a little bit almost like it's looking or pointing right at us. We saw this example earlier in the year for The Punisher. Again, something where it would probably need a release date or at least a title to be a little bit more effective, but a visual speaking louder than words in this example. Graphic, really kind of creepy image of an eye. This was obviously done in Photoshop. Beautiful use of text. The being a very skinny, thin, lightweight sans serif, and then the word I in a very bold, thick, heavy font sans serif as well. So nice contrast between those two. And then the actress's name lined up, justified, right against the top, spaced out with tracking. Really nice and clean. Beautiful use of white space here. Here we have an image on the left, a nice kind of symmetrical photograph, and then a left-aligned title, and then everything else over here right-aligned. So this is a great example of mixing left alignment with right alignment and how that can work well. It has a nice asymmetrical balance with the image, holds its own against the image, and then the opposite, the actress's name in black and then red, black and then red, and then the title black and then red. So repeating elements as well. Interesting kind of solution by mixing a photograph with almost a hand-drawn illustrative look to it. So the title being 27 Dresses, having that pop out in a pink color makes the title stand out. Otherwise, we would never know what the title was. Adding in a screenwriter's previous film that was a success is sometimes often used as a method or a design solution. Actresses' names, studios, all the information is listed here. And it kind of makes the shape of a dress. Just a little bit interesting, kind of catchy solution. Photographic version, and I think we also have the graphic version. So here's the photographic version of this movie. Again, great use of text, going from all capital bold for the last name to a very light lowercase first name. Very strong black bar here, separating the two. Nice asymmetrical balance between the hearts and a symmetrical down the center. The word ugly being in bold with the light text on either side. It's just a nice overall, very clean layout. This is for the movie The X-Files. Very creative solution where the shadow cast by the actor and actress is what's creating the X. And that's all we see is the X and then the release date and the website. So it's the only reason that we know what this is. Really interesting creative solution. Very minimal, but still effective. So sometimes less is more. This is a great example of that. So these were all regular movie posters, just chosen for their how they look. But let's look more at illustration movie posters, because this is more along the lines of what you're going to be doing for your project. An illustration movie poster is a movie poster that's not using any photographs at all. So the solution that you come up with must be something that's created in Illustrator using the pen tool to draw or create graphic elements and typography and things like that. So here's an example of a movie called The Hitman, using only something drawn in Illustrator or something that would be an illustration or an illustrative graphic. Here's a great example of one for the movie Inception. We have all these different profiles, and each profile coordinates to one of the actors or actresses in the movie, and it kind of radiates outward. So repetitive element here. Really cool, handwritten, kind of chunky, decorative font. We have the director's name with catchphrase. We have also starring. We have the logo for the house that produced it. Really nice repetitive elements, beautiful lines, beautiful use of space, and very creative. Another example where we're just using white space to create these kind of hands that come out of the white space and wrap around the black field of the character's head here. And this is something that you could easily create in Illustrator, but it doesn't look like it was an easy or a simple solution. It looks really creative and really powerful because of the use of negative space, but it was really simple to create by just kind of tracing over a pair of hands, or if you had an image of someone wrapping their arms around someone and just tracing over those elements, changing the colors, changing the position, and then you have a really successful movie poster. Again, notice the actors' names going across the top, lowercase for the first name, all capitals for the last name, centered, everything else is centered. Here we have a nice symmetrical movie poster. Again, this could very easily be drawn in Illustrator. We have just kind of the outlines of the people. The necktie is representing, I guess, the country that they're from, and then kind of this paper cup snafu here in the middle. In the loop, creative solution of looping the O's together to create that word loop, and then centered alignment on everything else. For the movie Precious, again, nice kind of hand-drawn element, and then it creates this hand kind of shattering through the main character there. Where actors' names are over at the top. We have different awards it's won. Really kind of gritty. This is one of our, we would call it grunge fonts for the title, because it is a kind of gritty movie, kind of, you know, horribly true. And it works well in this. Very, very contrast driven, very clean and modern. Another example where we're using illustration to create a movie poster. Beautiful alignment on the right-hand side, actors' names going down, title of the movie, all the studio information, and then the little catchphrase, and then we have the birds being the graphic. Again, very simple to just trace over these in Illustrator and come up with something pretty interesting. This one requires a little bit more work. The movie being The Expendables. We're looking first at this kind of cool tribal graphic with dynamite and explosions. We have the actors' names going across the top, and then we have the title and the release date. Black Swan, I think there's a few of these coming up that are done in an illustrative way. We have the actors' names. We have this black swan neck. If you could see, it's kind of curling around here, the swan's neck, but the eye also lines up with the person's silhouette, kind of creating that black swan inside that person. So this relates well to the movie. It's a very creative solution. Different kind of deco, art deco kind of 50s font being used down here. Very red, black, and white is a very kind of evil colorway. Whenever you're combining red and black in this manner, it kind of gives you a sort of horror type feel to it. You can see there's a gradient being used in the back here. It's going from black to red to black. And then these little feathers were drawn and added on top. But really interesting design solution with that eye being in the same position as the person's eye in the background. This is a movie for Deer Hunter. Super simple solution. It's a 6-round shot representing a gun. This representing, I guess, 1 bullet is loaded in there. Super simple to create, meaning just using circles in your Illustrator tool palette there. You could just use the shape tool to create this. But to come up with this idea, although it looks simple, it's really highly creative and really well done because it relates to the movie, it relates to the story, and it immediately grabs your interest because you want to look at it and you want to understand what it is. So sometimes less is more, and this is a great example of that. Clockwork Orange. Again, if you've ever seen the movie, he kind of wears this costume and this kind of makeup around his eye and this hat. And here it is simplified in an almost cartoon-like manner, but it works. It's got this funky Clockwork Orange text down here, and then